I'm going to show you some examples of masking adjustment layers, which means you can apply them selectively to areas of your image or document. Okay, so first I'm going to move across to the Layers panel, just so we can see the layer stack. Okay, so for this image, what I'll do is go to add a new adjustment layer and choose a Shadow and Highlights adjustment layer. Okay, so my goal here is to bring the highlight detail up on the rocks, as we can see we're achieving here. But unfortunately, we're also clipping the highlight detail in the waterfall, which is a problem we can solve by masking. So, the way masking works is that there is no separate mask layer. The adjustment layer inherently has its own mask. So what this means is that straight away we can pick up the paintbrush tool with that Shadows and Highlights adjustment layer selected. And I just need to set some settings. So I'll increase the width of the brush and then take the hardness down for a soft edge brush. And then on the colour panel here, my active colour is set to black, which means I'm subtracting from the mask. So I can just paint into the waterfall here and subtract from the mask of the Shadows and Highlights adjustment, which means it's no longer affecting the waterfall area. Okay, but painting on a layer mask is not just a binary operation, it's not just off or on. We can tweak the opacity of our brush strokes here. So for example, I could bring the opacity down to about 40%. And that will allow us to build up our strokes. So for example, I'm painting over this area here, but notice I'm not entirely removing it from the mask. I can actually paint over it again and again a third time until the effect is suitably lessened. I'll do the same for this rock down here. Okay, and perhaps just some areas over here. Like so. Another alternative to adjusting the opacity is to adjust the grayscale value on the colour panel here. So this is roughly a mid-grey, which means it's going to deliver the same effect, roughly, as a 50% opacity value. Okay, we'll set our colour back to black, and let's look at another example. Okay, so for this image, I'm going to add a vibrance adjustment, and I'm going to bring these values up until the light trails are suitably colourful. Okay, that should do. But it would be a bit wasteful to get the paintbrush tool and try and subtract from the remainder of the image. So instead what we can do with the vibrance adjustment selected is go to Layer and Invert. That will now invert the mask, so this vibrance adjustment is not being applied at all. And then all we need to do is get the paintbrush tool, make sure our active colour is set to white, and just paint back into the mask down here over the light trails. Okay. And just to give you an idea, I'll turn that layer off so you can see the before and the after. Also, just a little tip, if you Alt or Option click on a layer, it will let you visualize its mask. So as you can see here, we've got the white, which is the area where the mask is letting the adjustment show its effect, and all of the black area is where the effect will not show. To get back to our main document, we can just simply click on another layer, like so. Let's do a final example then. So for this image, I will add a white balance adjustment, and I'll just decrease the white balance and perhaps change the tint. Now, all I'm going to demonstrate here is that if you would prefer to actually clip a mask layer into your adjustment, you can also do that. And there may be other reasons for doing so. You may have a mask created from a pixel layer that you need to clip into the white balance adjustment, for example. So all we do is add a mask layer using this option here. And once again, we can select the mask, get the paintbrush tool, increase the width, and I'm going to set my active color to black, and then just paint on the head here of the insect to remove the white balance adjustment effect. Okay, so this is quite subtle, but all I'm doing is using white balance to give a bluer tone to the wings here. If I just hide it, you can see the before and the after, but of course we're not affecting the head region of the insect. So there we go, just some quick examples of how to use masking with adjustment layers.